But anyway, from the video, as you seen, my son got a hold of him and he flipped him. And I mean, Devin Haney hid behind him like a little girl. Like I said, female activity pushed him. Him or Bill never told his guys to stop. It was two of them. He never told them to stop. Never told them to stand down. Never told them nothing or whatever else. So you got to pay for that. But it is what it is. Like I said, a bunch of female activity in my book.
What's up, everybody? It is your girl, Jab Queen Boxer, and we are back for yet another one. So, I'm not sure how many of you got a chance to watch Brian Norman Sr. do the Fight Hype interview with Johnny Boy, and shout out to him. He does a lot of these from his car, which I think is just hilarious. But he had this interview with Brian Norman Sr. So we're going to listen to a little bit of what he said, and then I'm going to give you my thoughts on what I think is going on. So this first clip is him actually addressing how this fight originally got made.
But I got to give a lot of credit to Devin Haney and Bill Haney for even stepping up to take this fight after Jin Sasaki, after the devastating knockout that Brian Norman Jr. Gave to him, put him he lost his memory for over a month and a half. And his last three opponents that he's had they came in confident, and then they all left with on stretchers or had medical issues afterwards. So I got to give Devin Haney the props for even taking that fight. He could have went the Barrios route or Pacquiao, older Pacquiao or something. So what do you think about his heart wise as far as in the ring and everything?
Again, I'm not a hater. I'm not one of the people who don't give credit where credit is due. But I mean, you can look at it. You can look at it and think about. Hold the door. You can look at it and think about it as simple as this. You can look at it and think about it as simple. Hey, do me a favor, sing about that. You can look at it as simple as this. It's not even hard. You can look at it as simple as this. He himself said that that Turkey Al-Sheikh or whoever brought Boost to him. That mean they were trying to find him an opponent and they brought Boost to him. That let you know how this fight was made. They brought Boost to him. They brought Brian Norman to him. You understand what I'm saying? It was not him. It was not him seeking. It was not him seeking these fights. It was these people trying to find fights for him. You understand what I'm saying? I give him credit for stepping up to the plate and accepting. He accepted this fight. He didn't seek this fight.
I personally found that particular part of the interview, well, one of the parts of the interview that was very interesting to me, because a lot of people will listen to the things that Bill Haney says, about how, him and his son are always looking for the biggest and baddest fights, the toughest competition, so on and so forth. But as we've heard Brian Norman Sr. Say many times, that this was not a fight that Bill and Devin were actually looking for. This was a fight that Turkey Al-Sheikh actually was looking to make for Devin because they were trying to find him another fight. And, for whatever the situation is, right? Let's just be honest. This is not him looking for the hardest fight at 147. Stop it, y'all. We have to stop it, and we have to start learning how to be honest and accepting things for what they really are. Okay? I'm going to leave that there for now. He also had some very interesting things to say about Devin Haney's last fight. Take a listen.
Ramirez can't punch on the move. Ramirez can't punch while he's moving. His feet has to be set for him to punch.
So obviously that's something that he noticed while watching the fight. He did go on to say that Bill noticed it as well. Later in the fight, I'm assuming Bill said it. So, that was a game plan, obviously, that they worked on outside of the game plan that Shane Mosley worked on, which now aligns with what Shane Mosley said in his interview. He said, the Devin that's in training camp looked nothing like the Devin that showed up in that ring. So there is that. I think that, a lot of what he said has a lot of merit. He did go on to say he understands why people don't like the Haneys. And I'm not gonna say it's the Haneys in its entirety, but it definitely is Bill for me. And I don't know the man, never met the man. Just some of the things that I've heard him say that I know are not truthful. They kind of rub me the wrong way. Some of his actions. So that's that. Devin, he doesn't really talk much. So I really have no real problem with Devin now that I look at it in its totality. Um, Devin doesn't really say anything. He's a product of his father, so it is what it is. Um, as far as that. As far as this fight is concerned, I am so interested to see, the game plan that the Haneys devised to go up against Brian Norman Jr. Um, I'm on panels all the time with a lot of Haney fans, and they tell me how his footwork is superior. He has this amazing jab, his great lateral movement, blah blah blah. Right. So his footwork, yeah, yeah. And it's not like he's levels above Brian Norman Jr. when it comes to footwork. So that's cap. Um, you know, he does like to control the distance with his jab, but if I'm not mistaken, Brian Norman Jr. has a longer arm reach than him. So this is definitely going to be an interesting fight. Devin doesn't really have a lot of power, and that's because he doesn't really sit down on his punches. So, we know Brian Norman Jr. is punching, but, as he stated in their last press conference, what good is being a puncher if you can't land them? So I'm pretty sure they're working on, ways to get their hands on Devin. I'm not saying he's going to be running, but I am sure he probably will be using a lot of lateral movement. And that is going to be smart because you don't want to get caught with Brian Norman Jr.'s punches, Ashton Sasaki. You know what I'm saying? So there's that. I can go into further detail the closer that the fight gets. I just saw this interview and I thought that this was very interesting. I mean, he kept it real the whole way through. He said that he respects them for taking the fight. But as far as the narrative of them seeking the fight, that was incorrect. I knew that from the gate. You know what I'm saying? That was not correct. And I knew that list was nothing more but, Bill's wet dream. So I knew that if anybody they were really seeking, it was the smaller guys because that is who Devin is comfortable fighting. You have 135 pounders on a list and you are now at 147. Make that shit make sense. But I digress. As far as the interview, as far as him addressing, just what happened between Brian Norman Jr. and Devin Haney security, obviously he stated that previously as well. I said it myself. The situation should have been de-escalated, but instead it looks like security escalated the situation, which was unnecessary and turned into the brawl that we saw. So I don't know, but I will be going into further detail about this. As I said, the closer that the fight approaches, we can talk more in detail about it. I will be live Thursday at 5:30 p.m. Make sure you pull up and join an amazing boxing conversation. Like, comment, and subscribe. Until next time, y'all know what to do, baby. Catch me on a panel.